Hello all, welcome to today's class where we will be studying about some of the protozoan diseases in plants. So since the early 1900s, we have known that there are a few flagellated protozoa which are causing infections in plants or which parasitize plants. Apparently, it's only the flagellate group amongst the protozoa which are associated with the plant diseases. So, as they are flagellates, all the organisms under this group are characterized by one or more long, slender flagella at some or all the stages of their life cycle. Some of the diseases that are associated with the protozoans in plants are sudden wilt of oil palm, empty root of cassava, heart rot of coconut, and phloem necrosis of coffee. The last two are the ones that are there in your syllabus. So let us study more about them. The causal organism in case of both heart rot of coconut and phloem necrosis of coffee is Phytomonas. So this organism belongs to the class Kinetoplastia, order Trypanosomatida and family Trypanosomatidae. The genus is Phytomonas. Based on which plant disease we are talking about, the species name will differ. So, like I told you before, it is a flagellate protozoan. It usually measures 12 to 18 micrometers by 1 to 2.5 micrometers. So, the organism is longitudinal in nature and it has a fusiform structure. Fusiform is a spindle shaped structure where the structure is middle, it is wide in the middle and it tapers at both ends. That is called as a fusiform structure. So this organism shows a similar fusiform or spindle shaped structure inside the host, and that is where this is the measurement that is given. That is, it can be 12 to 18 micrometers by 1 to 2.5 micrometers width. That the first one is the length and the second one is the width of the organism. Usually, protozoans are known to be in several forms. The protozoans that affect animals and human beings, they show several forms like promastigote, paramastigote, amastigote, etc. But Phytomonas is an organism that is mainly observed in the promastigote form. Promastigote form is an active form which is having an elongated body and a single long flagellum which is 10 to 15 micrometers in length. So this flagellum emerges from the anterior part of the organism and the flagellum is inserted in a flagellar pocket. So this organism is known to have a flagellum that is arising from the flagellar pocket. The reproduction of this organism is by longitudinal binary fission. So within the plant, the organism is mainly seen in the promastigote form, and once it enters the insect host, so it does have an insect vector as well. Once the organism enters the insect vector or the insect host, its reproduction and multiplication usually stops. Within the first week, when it has gone inside the insect host, it elongates to form a giant version of itself inside the pylorus of the insect. So inside the insect, there is no multiplication. It is only inside the plant cell where it shows rapid multiplication by longitudinal binary fission. Like the other protozoans and the other trypanosomatids, Phytomonas also does not have a cell wall. Instead, the outermost layer which protects it from the host response or from the environmental condition is made up of proteins and phospholipids. So that is the outermost layer. It does not have a cell wall or it lacks a cell wall. So coming to the first disease, that is heart rot of coconut. So now, like I told you, both the diseases that we are going to talk about today are caused by Phytomonas. It is only the species that will differ. So heart rot of coconut is caused by Phytomonas staheli, named after the person who first described it. And this is a disease that is mainly seen in the South American countries, affecting coconuts as well as oil palm trees. So the heart rot causing protozoan, that is Phytomonas staheli, is known to be transmitted by insects of the genera Lincus and Oclerus. The first one that I have shown is Lincus and this is Oclerus. The black one is Oclerus. So these are the insects which carry this protozoan and transmit it. The protozoans, like I said, are flagellated. So we will be referring to them as flagellates at several points. So the flagellates, that is the protozoan Phytomonas, occurs in the sieve elements of the young leaves and in the sieve elements of the inflorescence. Now what happens is, sieve element here is the phloem. So what happens is, as the organism grows, initially a part of the sieve element gets blocked, or the sieve cells get blocked, the phloem starts getting blocked. Towards the advanced stages, 10 to 100% of the sieve element can get blocked with the flagellate. So the organism rapidly multiplies in the phloem and blocks it, due to which, as these sieve elements have been now plugged with the flagellates or plugged with the protozoan, it results in blocking of the transport of photosynthesis to the roots. So whatever photosynthetic material that has been produced by the leaf is unable to go downwards, it is unable to move downwards and go to the roots. So this is the main reason why the organism is affecting the plant. Now, these flagellates or these protozoans are usually concentrated in the root apex, or in the young inflorescence, or in the young leaves, the tender leaves that are there. That is where these protozoans are usually found. The number and the spread of the flagellates in the sieve tubes will increase proportionally with the development of the disease. So initially, they will be lesser in number, they will not be as widespread. As the disease progresses, the organism will also start spreading rapidly. Now, coming to the symptoms of the disease of heart rot of coconut. So, we have spoken about the causal organism, that is Phytomonas staheli. We have spoken about the pathogenesis of the disease. Now, moving on to the symptoms. The organism, when once it affects the coconut plants, the coconut leaves start yellowing and eventually browning at the tips. So, the older leaves tips start yellowing and browning. Eventually, the browning also moves on to the younger leaves. So it starts with the older leaves and then it moves on to the younger leaves. The one that you see in the picture is where the browning has occurred so much, the disease has progressed so much that it has also started rotting, leading to crown rot. So what you see over here, the crown of the tree is completely rotten. The organism has spread massively. It has become extremely invasive, due to which the entire crown of the tree is now rotten, or it has become completely brown. And there are other symptoms as well. So I told you it survives in the young inflorescence and the tender leaves. So in the young inflorescence, if you see the first picture, this is a picture of an unopened inflorescence which is showing necrotic spike tops. So all the spikes have become necrotic. This is one of the first symptoms of the disease. And if you see in the second picture, even freshly opened inflorescence, the inflorescence that has opened up also shows necrotic spike tops. So inflorescence which is unopened as well as freshly opened inflorescence will show black necrotic top, or the top is now called as necrotic spike tops because they are completely black in color, and the older ones also will start gradually rusting. Another symptom is with respect to the fruits. So young fruits will turn brown, they will shrink, they rot, and even show premature drop. That means they will fall. So dropping of nuts on the ground, like it is shown in the third picture, is also an early symptom of the disease. So when the unripe nuts of the symptomatic trees fall off, the root tips are also beginning to rot. So we know that when the once it has reached the fruit or the nut, that means the root is also going to rot. At later stages, the apical region of the crown also rots and it often produces a foul odor. So trees which are usually infected with heart rot will die within a few months of the appearance of the external symptoms. The trees will die because if you see, it has affected the leaves, then the inflorescence, the nuts, the coconut, and eventually the root as well. One of the major characteristic of this disease is rotting of the heart of the coconut. Heart is the flesh that is present inside the coconut, and this is the reason why the name of the disease is called as heart rot. So these are the symptoms of heart rot of coconut. Coming to the disease control, so the method of control of disease is very limited. The major method of control is avoiding disease free or avoiding diseased nursery plants or diseased root grafts. So using disease free plants or root grafts is the main method of controlling the disease. Also, periodical application of insecticides which will keep away the insects that can spread this protozoan. And weed control, if the weeds are controlled in the coconut plantations, that will check the spread of the disease. But once the disease has come through the insect, it is not possible for us to treat that particular coconut tree. It has to be discarded. The second disease that we have, that is caused by again a protozoan, is phloem necrosis of coffee. Now, phloem necrosis of coffee is caused by another species of Phytomonas, that is Phytomonas leptovassorum. Now, this organism is found in the coffee plants. It is found to again infect the phloem or the sieve elements of the coffee plant. So, here the protozoan or the flagellate is again transmitted by the insect vector, that is shown over here, Lincus species, and it can be also transmitted through root grafts, same as we saw in heart rot of coconut. The protozoan can be traced from the roots upward through the trunk, where they will migrate in the phloem. If you see over here, this is the structure of the phloem vessel. This is the structure of how it looks like. So they can migrate vertically up and down, and even laterally, where they will spread from one sieve plate into, so they will move through the sieve plate. This is the sieve plate which is having pores in it. They will move through the sieve plate into other healthy sieve tubes. So this is how they are spreading within the plant and causing a systemic disease. They start moving through the phloem vertically up and down, and then they even move sideways or laterally and enter the other healthy sieve tubes, infecting the healthy sieve tubes as well. And these phytoplasma which is there, the phytomonas, not the phytoplasma, the phytomonas is, if you can see over here, it is having an elongated shape. In this picture, if you see, it is having an elongated shape. So if you see this pH, that is the phytomonas. The phytomonas is having an elongated shape, the one that has been shown with the arrow, so that it can move through the sieve pore that is present in the sieve plate. So the sieve plate is made up of several pores, and its elongated shape is what helps to get it across through the sieve pore. So this is the sieve pore. This is the phloem protein. PP is the phloem protein. Ca is callose. Cw is the cell wall. So this is the callose and the sieve plate. Sp is the sieve plate. This is the sieve plate. In the sieve plate, there are sieve pores. Through the sieve pore, if the phytoplasma or the phytomonas has to pass through, it has to be of this elongated shape. That is what has been shown over here. So this is just a picture to show you how it is moving through the sieve pores present in the sieve plate and transferring from one sieve element to the other. This is one sieve element, sieve tube element, from one sieve tube element to the other. So initially, when the symptoms start appearing, the organism is quite big. It is having a size of 14 to 18 micrometers in length by 1 to 1.2 millimeters. Sorry, 14 to 18 millimeters, 1 to 1.2 millimeters in width. It's a big organism initially when the symptoms start appearing. Though it is spindle shaped, this is how it will appear in the phloem. As the disease progresses, the flagellates become more numerous and the size decreases. So they are more in number, they are slender, they are still spindle shaped, but their size decreases, and we can see that there are many of the size 4 to 14 micrometers by 0.3 to 1 micrometers. As there is multiple division of the cambial cells are the layer of actively dividing cells which are present between the xylem and phloem tissues, and this is what is responsible for the secondary growth or the increase in the thickness of the stems and increase in the thickness of the roots. So when these cambial cells start dividing abnormally and there is excessive division of the cambial cells, it results in the leaves turning yellow and even falling. So the leaves can start falling because there is excessive multiplication of the cambial cells. So there is increase in the secondary growth of the plant, but the plant is not yet equipped to handle it. Also, this multiple division of the cambial cells results in a multi-layered sheath around the wood cylinder that is going to lead to death of the tree. So this is almost towards the end stage when there is increase in the girth of the entire plant and there is a multi-layered sheath that is formed around the wood cylinder. In this sheath, if we check, in the phloem when we check, there is a great abundance of extremely small protozoans. So it is not even a size of 4 to 14 micrometers, it is much smaller, where the protozoans are much more smaller in size, around 3 to 4 micrometers in length, and they are very small flagellates which are present in the living tissue of the stem. So whichever tissue has gone dead, there they will get evacuated or they will come out of those cells where they had previously occupied, and in the living tissue alone they will be present as very small flagellates that are growing actively. So this is the way in which these organisms grow or the flagellates grow in case of coffee plants. Now the symptoms, coming to the symptoms. So infected tree will show yellowing, like I told you, and even dropping of the leaves. The leaves will become very sparse or reduced in number. As the symptoms keep advancing, the top leaves remain, the young top leaves remain, whereas the rest of the branches become completely bare, or all the leaves are fallen off. Internally, if we see, the roots and the trunk will show multiple division of the cambial cells. This is in response to the organism being present in the phloem. As the roots begin to die back, eventually the tree will die. So the condition of the tree will worsen and it will eventually die. If you see here in the first picture, in the rainy season, this is in the rainy season when the leaves are yellowing, or they are yellow in color and there is loss of leaves, but there is no acute wilting. If you see in the second picture here, this is taken in the dry season when there is a sudden wilting. So there is yellowing, there is loss of leaves, and there is a sudden wilting as well. So based on the season, the acute nature of the symptoms will vary, but yellowing of leaves, loss of leaves is a common symptom. So in the recent years, this coffee wilt or the phloem necrosis of coffee has been hard to find in most of the places. That is why if you see here, the pictures are quite old, because there are the recent varieties that are being grown in South America or Central America, which is one of the largest producers of coffee. The varieties that are being used are the resistant varieties. So now this disease is not very common. So coming to the disease control, it is similar to heart rot of coconut, that is periodical application of insecticides, using disease-free root grafts, use of resistant varieties, and controlling the weeds so that the disease will not spread, or we can check the spread of disease from one plant to another. So these are the two diseases caused by the protozoan Phytomonas. The heart rot of coconut is caused by Phytomonas staheli, and phloem necrosis of coffee is caused by Phytomonas leptovassorum. Both the diseases are caused by a protozoan. The name of the protozoan is Phytomonas. So you need to know about what is the causal organism, what are the different symptoms of the disease, how the organism is affecting the plant, and what are the disease control measures. Thank you.